Hi, it's Andy.
Hi, it's Dave.
Hi, it's Kirk.
Welcome to the ADK Rock and Metal channel.
This song is metal that we're about to review.
And we're going to listen to a band called Annihilator, a band I've never actually listened to. They're a Canadian thrash band from 1984, and the song is Alison off of their debut album. Before we get to it, here's a quick word from today's video sponsor. Okay, so yeah, the way we do this is we've all got away, we've watched the video, we've listened to the song, etc. We've made our notes about the song, etc. And we're now going to play you minute by minute and talk about them as we go. So let's give you the first minute of the song for you at home. Okay, so first minute. So I don't know this band at all. You know when we talked about like egocentrical, like Dragon Force and acting like cocks? That's what this name says to me. Annihilator. I'm like, what a bunch of wankers.
No, you sound like a death metal band with a name.
They sound like calling your band Annihilator means I'm like, wow, you've got fucking egos, haven't you?
No, I bet you were into
so instantaneously.
I can't see that connection.
It sounds murderous, doesn't it?
We are Annihilator. You're a bunch of cocks, is what you are. If you come on stage and call yourself Annihilator,
great name for a
you're setting yourself for failure.
I can't see that connection, Dave.
Well, I couldn't see that with the guys doing drinking and having fun.
Yeah.
I thought it was humorous. You thought that was ego. To me,
this is 100%.
This is a metal band name, Annihilator.
Yeah,
isn't it?
this instantly makes me go, I don't want to watch this band.
Okay.
So I would have never have come across it, but here's my thoughts on it. So the first minute, I love the dialogue set up on the video. I love the idea of what the video was doing. It has a great fun bass lead in this. I call it fun. It's not. It's not metal like aggressive metal. This has actually got fun, and it's got an epic classic build-up. Now I call it classic. It wouldn't be classic for the time when it came out, but now it's what we would refer to as a classic build-up on song. We've got to remember we haven't got into any of the verses or anything like this. This first minute is all about build-up, and it intrigued me. It made me go, I actually quite enjoyed this as we're getting into it. But just focusing on that intro, the dialogue, the video, thoughts. Because you guys know this song, do you?
Yeah.
Annihilator!
I think it sort of showcases the musicianship as well, even in this early stage of the song. So Jeff Waters, is it? Or Walters?
Jeff Waters.
Waters it is, isn't it? I think I just remember the name being thrown about. I mean, the metal press sort of jumped on this band when they came out and were pushing them and everything. And this is a very familiar video to me, and it's a great intro as well. Before the song even kicks in. So, go on, Kirk.
Yeah, just give you some background. So these were one of the early commercial successes for Roadrunner Records. So it's from the 1989 album, which is called Alice in Hell. And this was the big Roadrunner's biggest selling debut until Machine Head's Burn My Eyes came out in '94. So did shift quite a few units back in the day. It's the most famous song in the band's discography. I think Jeff Waters even jokes about it. He says, if we do an encore and then they ask us for another song, they're probably expecting us to just play Alice in Hell for a second time, because everyone knows it. Dave, I want to ask you a question. Does the video not remind you of Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors? Are you a fan of the Nightmare on Elm Street series?
I know a little bit of it, but yeah, I didn't.
Arquette.
I didn't naturally pick that one up, but yeah, I can see it when you say that. Yeah.
And then the other thing that always stood out for me when I watched it, Jeff Waters is wearing a Virgin Atlantic T-shirt.
Fly Virgin.
Fly Virgin, like what?
A bit random. Maybe he just got. Maybe he just got off the plane and.
And then
I'll say that is the least. That's the point I made as well. It's the least metal attire you could ever think of in the music. I mean, why pick it on to wear that in a music video?
the example of product placement.
Yeah, maybe.
But the two more things in the first minute. I think this is one of the first examples of neoclassical in thrash metal, and there's an amusing scene, or is it funny? Jeff Waters, when he's putting on that psychotic look on his face, he traps a strand of hair in his mouth.
I didn't
when
see
he's
that.
like striking down on the power chords, which I found quite amusing. But love the intro, like Megadeth's Holy Wars. You know, they're going to give you like 5 or 6 different riffs with a variety of dynamics, and I love that about thrash
And
metal.
that's coming into the next session. So let's play it. Minute 1 to minute 2 coming up for you. Okay, so I surprisingly came out in '89, so because this sounded like early '80s thrash to me, not so much than because if you're thinking '89, we're already what is that year after Beneath the Remains?
It's in Beneath the Remains.
Yeah. So this sounded earlier to me, so it felt like a cross. Not knowing the band, I picked 2 bands, Megadeth and Anthrax. Throw them together. That's what I kind of picked out here. 'Cause it had the intensity and the musical ability of Megadeth, but the humour in there. Playing and their video of the Anthrax, it's got the upbeat
Madhouse type.
Yeah, that early Madhouse era, caught in the mosh Anthrax vibe was kind of where I went with this in my head. I felt they were trying a little bit too hard to be unique with their changes in music. There were just too many riff changes, which you've just pointed out that you like the fact there was a lot of riffs.
Yeah, it surprises me.
It just kind of every time you kind of locked into something, it sort of. You're like, oh fuck, you just switched again. You just switched again. Fuck, what the fuck are you doing? Just let me settle into this for a minute. But I did like it. We haven't actually talked about the vocals, which I'm going to talk about in the next minute, which is, but this was really more around the riff point of view. But yeah, good cross between Megadeth and Anthrax at the time. I have written a note here, which I don't know what it relates to, so.
I can find that as well.
It's really hard. Says symbolism of the metal state of the lady. I don't know what that means.
Oh, you're talking about the female protagonist who's
Probably
suffering from sleep deprivation or
so maybe.
What's it called?
I know what that is.
Narcolepsy.
I think that's where the riffs each are meant to symbolise her state of how she's feeling.
Right.
Because they constantly are switching from different paces, little paces, little bit creepy, and then suddenly and so they cut into how the women.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's clever symbolism of how they've used when they've written it, they've tried to get that idea of her mental state in the riffs, and so that's cut well with the video. So thank you. Yes, that has helped my notes for why I wrote that.
Andy, did you say you didn't buy this on single? Did you buy a single on 12-inch from the follow-up album? What was it called? Can you remember?
Stonewall was the song, the single.
Yeah.
I can't think what the follow-up album was called, but
And it's called Never Neverland.
yeah.
So
I mean,
you were around at the time.
I never had the album, but I do remember seeing it on the music channels. Like I say, the music press were really behind Annihilator when they started, probably because of the talent and musical ability of Jeff Waters and everything. But I get the Anthrax Megadeth kind of collaboration, but there's no humour in this for me. This is quite serious. what do you reckon, Kirk? There's no.
Well, you know, like we say, Madhouse Caught in the Mosh. So Anthrax were always known as the party band.
Yeah.
But when they did Caught in the Mosh and Madhouse, there's an element of, yes, they're doing a serious topic, but there's a lightness in the riffage and the way they do it, and I felt that there was an element of that.
I thought you meant more the look of the video.
Not necessarily the video,
okay.
but more the vibe of the riffs in certain places.
I mean, I think it is quite earnest, quite serious.
Yeah. The topic is.
So
I wouldn't say the video. It's just there's certain. A lot of bands will go into minors. There felt like there was a lot of major keys instead, so they were working through. So they were in a positive,
they were
progressive change rather than. So whereas a lot of bands, when they want to be heavy, like when you get into death metal, they'll have some majors, but they like to do some dissonant chords and stuff like that in there, which you don't get.
Yeah, that's why they've really got that neoclassical angle, which not many bands had done before them. And let's not forget, this is a year before Holy Wars comes out from Rust in Peace, Megadeth. So I always say that, to me, the first ever technical metal band is Megadeth. And then, skip from 1986, 3 years later, you've got this. These were quite early into that sound, weren't they, as well? And this can rival. This actually, to me, the intro to this is as good as Holy War's Punishment Due by Megadeth. And I say that, I don't say that lightly, because I think that's one of the best metal songs of all time.
It's a good build-up.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into the next section. This is minute 2 to minute 3. Check it out.
Alice, isn't it frightening? Alice, aren't you scared? Alice, isn't it wonderful? Living life afraid. Now look around the corner. I might be lurking there. Come to the bed at night. You're out till dawn again. Your mind begins to fold. Aren't you growing cold? You are looking blue. What else can you do? I begin my rule. Life hideous in your...
Okay, so for this one for me, this was where the vocals were really kicking in. There was almost, I go back to the classic Halford-esque vocals. He's got that range in there. And this for me is where you can be Halford-esque, but you ain't Halford.
Absolutely.
So you can do a reasonable approximation, and this is what separated out the bands that made it to the higher echelons of the metal world to the bands that became mid-level. You can be musically great, but if you don't have an absolutely phenomenal vocal performance, you're not going to get to the top. The only difference being it was Megadeth, who didn't have a great vocal, but had phenomenal guitar musicianship and got in early level. So they got in early enough that they could do it. So for me, great musically, vocals were good, weren't great though, and that's what separates it out. So I'm never going to come back to Annihilator based on vocals.
Randy Rampage.
I'm going to say, what's her name?
It's in porn films as well.
With a name like that, and he acts like he is in this.
Yeah. The Halford comparison is a good one, Dave. He's not quite there, but he's got the power and the range, but not quite. At this stage of the video and throughout the song, what I like, I don't know if it's a deliberate technique, he's looking at the camera, but not quite.
Yeah, at an angle, side on.
Yeah. It's very nearly looking at the camera, as you would do as a vocalist in a music video, but he's not quite there, which is it's an unusual sort of shot, as it were. And also, if the chorus has kicked into this point, it's almost like it's the same clip repeated every time he does it. But Jeff Waters on guitar, he's doing backing vocals, and he goes, Alison! Right?
Oh yeah.
And then it cuts to Randy Rampage, and it goes back to Jeff Waters, and it's almost like they've just used the same clip. I'm sure they haven't, but these are like iconic moments you remember.
Ow! It was a really weird vocal bit. Ow!
I like it.
It's like that guy from, what's that crap American rock band called? Kings of Leon. He does that style, doesn't he? I know that's unrelated. Yeah.
It was interesting.
But do you know, getting back to we said Randy Rampage, by the way, passed away in 2018. And after this album, he leaves and then rejoined in the late 90s. But he
was kicked. Oh, surely he was kicked out. He was a bit.
I think his background's in punk as well, which you wouldn't know because he's got this supermodel's haircut. Do you know the actress Farrah Fawcett? It's like he's got like that feathered blonde hair, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's one point in this, it might be in the next section, where he pouts at the camera. He's actually acting like a fucking hair metal singer in this. So he doesn't look like he belongs in the band. And I am shocked that his background is in punk music.
I do like his vocals. I do like his vocals, but they're not, as you said, Dave, maybe enough to bring this band to like. Unless
he was one of the originator bands that really kind of kicked out. So if this was off their debut album, and they were formed in 1984, and this came out in 89, they'd lost the momentum. If it came out in 1984 and got this out in like 1985, it probably would have been a much higher up.
Like Megadeth, because they were in there early, people were willing to overlook them.
They were the spearheaders. They were, and you get a pass from being the spearheaders. But can we move on to the next minute?
Let's do it.
So this is minute 3 to minute 4 for you at home.
Crying out you've lost your doll, it isn't worth a dime. Your mind begins to fold. Aren't you going cow? What are you looking for? Soon I close the door.
Okay, so for this one, this was again where the vocals were a bit more interesting on this one, which was around the chorus and the bridge. Because he kind of goes creepy on the vocals on the bridge, but it's now looking back at the time, you'd probably go, okay, this is creepy and sinister. Now looking back, it's just really funny.
There's just the high register.
Yeah, it's you watch it and you're just like, okay, I'm just watching it like
in the background.
It starts getting creepy. It's just a very weird thing now, but it's weird that what was cool at a certain time, you look back like 25 years later and you're like, or 30 years later, and you're like, oh, that's just quite humorous now. That's a bit cringy. It's
like,
a bit
like
cheesy.
when you watch a Sylvester Stallone film from the 80s now. They're not meant to be funny, but they're hilarious now. They're not enjoyable.
Is this the sort of, it almost sounds like horror film.
Yeah, horror
narrative.
film, Bridgie, yeah.
And he's quite high, and it's the vocal patterns with the music in it. That bit, isn't it?
Are we up to that part?
Yeah.
The Beethoven part.
Is that what you called it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to add to that, Kirk?
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I first...
I think he does it quite well.
Yeah, they do.
But no, and at the time, you would have probably gone, fuck, this is cool. Now looking back on it, knowing what we know and all the bands that come after you, kind of go, this is funny.
This was original at the time, wasn't it? You know, that it's like...
Unfortunately, the camera just died on us. We've missed a couple of little bits, but apologies. But let's go do the last minute of the playback, and then for you at home, and then we'll just summarise up and cover any points that we may have missed. So this is minutes 4 to 5 of the song.
You're trapped in sanity. What were you looking for? As I close the door, here you shall dwell. Earth's closing hell.
Okay, so last minute of the track was obviously where we got the solo. Good galloping
3 minutes
solo.
50 it starts, actually.
Oh, close enough. That's close enough.
I'm just being the twat.
Galloping solo. Reminded me of like new wave of British heavy metal. This solo, it wasn't really a thrash solo to me. This just whole vibe of the song, catchy, and I even wrote the word fun in there. It felt up tempo, upbeat. It does have a great hook on this track, so there is a good hooky riff in there. It earworms you.
Yeah,
your favourite. But you know what? I was sitting there listening to it, going, "This sounds very familiar to something." I was getting the vibe of another song, and it's got the vibe of Sepultura's Dead Embryonic Cells.
and this predates it by 2 years.
By literally, it's like dun 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 dun. It's just the vibe where they have that breakdown and the drums are building it back up again. This does exactly the same thing as what Sepultura does on Dead Embryonic Cells. Because I was sitting there going, I've heard this freaking riff. I wasn't sure if it was Slave New World,
yeah,
or one of those, but yeah, Sepultura, and we know Sepultura were influenced by this band as well. So
yeah, I mean, label mates, weren't they, on Roadrunner?
yeah, so there was definitely something there. So I recommend checking it out. But overall, yeah, good track. Yeah, I enjoyed that. Andy.
Yeah, nothing more to add other than it is a really memorable track through, the actual song and the video itself. I was just saying to Kirk a moment ago off camera that, how does this compare to the rest of the album? Because I haven't listened to it, and he said it's the standout track, but it's a decent album, so I'll definitely go and check it out. But this to me is sort of late 80s, early 90s iconic American thrash, so I really, really like this song.
In this case.
Canadian.
Well, no, it is North American.
North, right.
Well, it's American, but it's polite.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually part of the British Commonwealth, and King Charles is their monarch in Canada. But,
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. This is one of the most iconic thrash songs from the third wave of thrash metal. And really tasteful solo. Jeff Waters is one of the best guitar players in the history of thrash. And interestingly, that band Eval, the English thrash metal band, Ollie, Ol, the guitar player who's now the vocalist, he actually transcribed a lot of the Annihilator songs which you find online, and Jeff Waters found out about it and he hooked up with him.
Oh, okay.
That as a thank you. So yeah, this is, and they'll never write a song more iconic than this, and as I said, even Jeff Waters jokes about it, that if it's an encore, they're going to do this twice.
There we go, Annihilator and Alison Hell. Now, if you enjoyed the video today, please do like, share and subscribe, and we'll see you in another video sometime very soon. Take care.